Welcome to the O Show, your number one podcast for everything training, mindset, and nutrition. I am your host, Oren McCarry, and it is my goal to help you access the best information around to allow you to kick ass in the gym, in the kitchen, and most importantly, in your head. Between my own experiences and those of my amazing guests, I'm confident we will do that. So let's strap in and level up your life starting right now. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, guys. Welcome to today's episode of The O Show. I am here as always, your host, Oren McCarry, and today we are on the TRM collision course with a business and coaching roundtable with two of my good friends who have been on the podcast already. We have Mr. Mathew Park and Miss Jaime Filer. How are we today, guys?
Wonderful. Good to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us, O.
Thank you. This is it's 5 a.m. over here, and it's the first podcast I've recorded since having the baby. So you are on a special one here. I'm loaded up on my coffee, and we are ready to rock. So this is gonna be an interesting one. Guys, if you're coming to this organically or you're just new to the podcast, go back and listen to Mathew's first episode so you can get a bit more insight into TRM and kind of the business side. And Jaime is a coach under Matt as well with TRM and is awesome at what she does. So we talked a little bit about her journey personally on her episode probably about 3 or 4 weeks ago. Today what we're going to talk about is the whole growth of Mathew's company TRM, Trainer Revenue Multiplier, and his decision to bring on staff in the form of Jaime, because we're all going to get to stages in our coaching business where we're going to look at hiring staff. And it's kind of like a hurdle we have to get over in our head of like letting go of our little baby and bringing in somebody that we trust. So talking about Matt's experience bringing in Jaime and Jamie's experience from her side, starting to work for TRM, I think will be awesome. And then we're just going to have some fun as well, because these are two fun guys on the podcast too. So Matt, let's talk a bit about TRM. So when did TRM start and how did you come up with the idea, or how did you get the passion to do it?
TRM started, it'll actually be 3 years in October of this year, October. So actually 3 years in October. So we're about 2 years and 9 months old, I guess, TRM. I've been coaching for about 7, 8 years, coaching in general. But I found, so the biggest thing with me is I was totally booked up in coaching before I began TRM. And I was coming to a place where I either had to hire my own coaches or begin to scale the business, obviously from having group coaching as part of the program. So I actually began TRM. That was kind of the whole thing. And it kind of organically grew where I was having so much fun with TRM. It was just a blast for me to kind of go through this process. And then met Jaime Filer, actually, ironically, about 4 years ago in Vegas at an event called Super League. We kind of met there. We hung out. We instantly had this instant connection. She was bugging me. I was bugging her. We had lunch together. We worked out together. It was basically half of the weekend was with my father, basically, was what was happening with Super League. That's kind of where it all kind of started. And then, ironically, she was in Tampa, or it was in Florida with her wife. And at the time, actually, maybe you guys weren't married yet, or maybe you were married, Jaime, but one of the two. She was looking to get her green card, to kind of get things going. She actually worked in the U.S. So ironically, I just began TRM on my second or third group for TRM 10. I think it was the second group, 10K. He was like, Matt, I'm ready to rock and roll with my business. I want to get the online coaching going. We jumped on a call the next day or something, whatever it was. And Jaime was like, Jamie's an all-in kind of girl. She's the kind of girl who comes in. She's like, whatever you tell me to do, I'll do it probably 5 times more. This is how Filer works. Yep. And of course, we built this instant connection. And I don't call Jaime staff. I call her my partner in crime, because she's the kind of person that, she goes all in. She's made sacrifices to be in TRM. She shows up always with a smile, ready to rock and roll. And she's our mentor, coming in as a chief mentor, and now teaches 10K, does coaching, helps build some training programs for us now, helps give advice to others as a leader as well too. So she's playing multiple roles, but began as a mentor to start, but also was part of the program for the first, 9 months, Jaime, 10 months in the program. And then just saw success, went from 1.5K a month to 15K a month within, I think 5 months or whatever it was, then 20K a month, then 25K. And I think you were making about 20K before you decided to ask me in Dallas at a mastermind in a car going to a haunted house, hey, Matt, what do you think of this idea of being a mentor? I'm like, well, what do you mean? Give me some explanation. She did. And we just threw the idea around. She all of a sudden she was shouting on 10K calls, which led into more 10K calls, her teaching calls. And now she's on our own doing TM 10K. So that's the story, if that makes sense.
Awesome. So, Jaime, is that pretty much how you remember it, or is there anything that you want to add to the epic story of going to a haunted house in Dallas?
Yeah, I definitely could have picked a more formal way of asking Matt to like essentially be an employee, but that's, Matt described our relationship perfectly. That's really not how we work. There's no formal way of doing anything. I think to an extent, because I joined him so early on in TRM, I watched him evolve his business as it was going and growing. So, I mean, I feel like the best place to ask him if I could work for him would be in a car on the way to, a haunted house.
Yeah, awesome. And what caused that shift in you, Jaime? Like you're seeing this huge success in your business, like it's going from 1.5 to 15 to 20 to 25, and then you decide you want to help Matt with the business coaching side and the mentoring. Like, what caused that rather than just focus on the fitness side?
Sure. So I have never, yes, at the beginning, I joined TRM to multiply my trainer revenue, but that was only so that I could put a roof over, my wife's head, food on the table for us, and then have a little bit extra to enjoy. The truth is, and I 100% feel this with my entire body and mind and soul, that anything above like 5K per month is just bonus. Like, it's just awesome. It's a retirement fund. It's an extra vacation here and there. It's not necessary. So once I made that 20 or plus 3 months in a row, I was like, wait, this is no longer about personal training anymore, because I get that that's on lock. I will forever and always make at least 20. Now it's time to help other people serve more people.
Yeah, that's awesome. So Matt, you must have felt that energy coming in, and that's why you decided to obviously go ahead. Jaime suggested it, and then you decided, right, let's roll with it.
I had no doubt with Fowler. It was like, let's go. And all of a sudden, it's funny because Jaime's always like kind of one step ahead of me all the time. It's funny because I'm a visionary thinker kind of guy. Jaime's an executor, but it's like she's always like kind of also making me stretch, which kind of is cool about our relationship that we have with ourselves. Because it's almost like a brother-sister relationship, but it's also professional. But we kind of have those boundaries where we don't cross, but we also have fun and joke about our hair and our teeth and success. But that's just how we roll in TRM, because obviously it's about, having fun, but also growing our business as well too.
Yeah, awesome, man, awesome. And with this being your little baby, right? And Jaime's came to you saying, listen, I'd love to help you grow the business. I'd love to mentor. Was it hard for you to give up some of that control, because at that stage it was just you in the business, like running these courses? And like, did you have any sort of pushback? Because I think a lot of trainers, like the main reason why they don't hire somebody sooner, like a second coach, is that they do everything and they find it very hard to give up that control of their baby.
100% anxiety. Yeah, for sure. I felt like, that fact of, if she comes in, am I going to lose clients, or are they going to go to Jaime? Like, you feel that, and that's something that we all go through as entrepreneurs. But the thing I realized, I had to level up myself emotionally and physically, and that's where I changed my shift into like, Jaime's a part of our team. She's a partner now, which means as when she grows, I win, we win, TRM wins, everybody wins. Tanny wins, our leaders win, we all win. So at the end of the day, I think that's a mentality shift that it's easier to say it than to do it. When you go through it, then you actually, when you say it, it actually means something. So when when she had the first coaching client, like I was like petrified. I'm not going to lie. But even though I trusted Jaime, I was still petrified. But when you get past that first month of it, then you see the possibility of like, when I had, like right now, she does, everybody that comes in 10K, she does coaching with them. Every single person. In the beginning wasn't like that. So now and eventually it's probably going to be Jaime doing a lot of almost all that stuff, pretty much already is, and having their own courses in 10K as well. So that's something you have to, I think most people, and when they're trainers, they try to like jump before they actually like start to like walk and sprint. And you got to like take those steps to grow, not just out from the outside, but grow on the inside, because whatever happens on the outside has to start from the inside as well.
Yeah, 100%. And Jaime, how have you found it like scaling up and having that more responsibility? Like, you're jumping in now and Matt's giving you that That we talked about this a bit on the last podcast, but he gave you that little bit of his baby, right? It's like it's part of you now. So like, how did you find that, like the pressure of jumping into somebody else's business?
You know, I respected Matt's process, and I knew what was going to happen. I knew that, similar to when, you know, as you know, like I'm sure the first time you hired a babysitter, it was maybe just somebody in the other room with your kid, but like you and your wife hanging out in the backyard, or you and your wife in the kitchen, and the just testing the babysitter. So
Yeah.
you know, I've grown up. I had to make money when I was 12. Like I have babysat before. I knew what was going to happen. So I mean, the first 4 modules of TRM are building confidence, right? And creating this new version and being solid with your offer and making it clear. So when I presented my offer to Matt, I wouldn't have done that unless I was ready for the pressure, unless I was ready to take on the responsibility, unless I had already figured out the next 5 moves in my head. So I was totally willing and prepared to play with the baby in the living room while the parents were in the kitchen, knowing I was being watched.
Yeah, that's an awesome analogy for it. I think that's killer. That's really good. But Matt, then how has that then impacted you? So Jaime comes in, she's like she executes the plans that you come up with. Has that freed more time for you to, obviously you said you're that visionary role, like has that made you more creative and made you able to strategize the business growth as a whole more, now that you know that you've got somebody in who's just implementing and just literally you can trust to be an absolute dog with all these groups and just like work her ass off and just do everything for it?
Yeah, it has. In fact, it's something that I definitely find my creative capacity has been improved. But more importantly, I'm having fun going back to 10K calls. Like this morning, I was on a call and I just wanted to hear some wins. I just wanted to just have some fun with the first minutes of the call. And Jaime takes over. And you know, for me, it's freeing because at the end of like 10K, when you do it over and over again, you're making the trainings and you're doing everything else in the business, the burnout kind of comes once in a while. You feel it, right? And all of a sudden, it's like you need a little bit of help. And Jaime came at the perfect time, and so did Tanny. But Jamie's teaching all this stuff, and she's so good at it. Like she has a skill of teaching and mentoring that few people don't have the skill she does. And obviously, she's honed that over the years. But I find for me, it's 2 things. It's being able to free up my head to grow the business, but also time with my family, which is something that I did not do before very well. I was complete opposite. I was the guy working 14-hour days. Family was always coming last. And now I've realized that now I have the free time where we can grow TRM and still, you know, work on building the business, but doing it from the place of strategic growth, not just work hard like a dog growth.
Yep. Awesome. And I think that's something that I've definitely experienced since being in TRM. Like you guys have a good little dynamic going where we get 2 calls a month. One's with Matt, one's with Jaime. We're like spread 2 weeks apart normally, and you have different skill sets and you have different things. Like Jamie's the boss on all the systems and marketing. We've went through some awesome stuff like social media marketing, I mean, in particular. Whereas Matt, what I found is you've got a great overall view. And even last week we had a call last Wednesday at the same time as this, and it was 8 days after we had the baby, and we literally sat and talked for 15 minutes because you're the dad of 2 role, and you're literally like, bro, just checking on you, like what's the plans, like how are you going to look after yourself in this next month when things are basically tits up and like we need to just make sure that you're surviving. And I thought I literally thank you at the end of the call, because before we talked anything business growth wise, it was literally just that. And like I think the dynamic is really good between you 2, and I think that's why I jumped into TRM, is because I previously had a different business mentor, and we just had a call and I just like sort of connected, and you would put a lot of your kids on social media, which is something that I do. I just show people my life in general. And I was like, oh, this guy's kind of a bit like me, you know, he's got 2 kids. I had one on the way at the time, and I was like, you know what, this guy's pretty cool. And I think that was just, you know, having that experience. And like even this week you're talking about the freedom, like both the girls are sick, so Evie's brought a cough flu sort of thing home from daycare, and it means that the little one's a little bit congested now. So this week's been a bit shit in terms of sleep and everything, but I've still got the potential to do this, and I've just been sort of strategizing my systems and everything, and like I can still do stuff like this, but still then be present to do stuff during the day. And I think that's a huge value add for me personally.
Oh, the first time I ever taught a platinum on my own was because Matt was in the hospital with Jen having Jimmy.
Oh, wow.
So sometimes it like helps to have that backup. Like, just, hey, I know you're going to be on the call anyway. Can you just take it? Because I'm having a kid. You're like, okay, right? Like, it helps to have another coach under you for unexpected circumstances.
Yeah, awesome. That's huge. Like thrown in the deep end, huh? Like, listen, she's in labor. Like, I'm going to the hospital.
Yep, that was it.
Awesome. And like, so how did you manage that, Jimmy? Because like platinum, like you do what calls every fortnight, and it's like, you know, big topics. Was the presentation set in stone, or did you have to just wing it and just come up with something really quick?
So platinum is every Friday.
Oh, every Friday. Okay.
Every Friday from 1 till 2. And it's been like that, I think, since like the first round of platinum, right? And that week, it was actually a pretty big week. The presentation wasn't set in stone. There were 2 people who were kind of told in advance to bring as many questions as they could. It was almost like a hot seat call. Okay. But I was the one fielding the questions.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So I had to do my best Matt impression and answer all of them as he would, in order to try and build some authority, because from then on, they knew that I could handle a platinum level of answering questions for them.
Yeah. Awesome. And Matt, like, how was that for you then? Like, you know, not only the stress of, you know, your wife's going into labor and you're in the hospital having your baby, but then your other little baby, you suddenly just side shuffled a bit of responsibility and just swiped it across to Jamie. Like, did you have any extra anxiety at that point as well?
No, none.
Good.
Because Skylar was ready, and I was like enjoying time with my wife and my son. I was like, no, Jamie's got this. Like, you know, after we kind of built the relationship and the rapport, me and Jamie, and she was crushing it so much, you just build confidence in, you know, in the individual. And Jamie just proven herself over and over and over again. And I was like, yeah, she's got this. Like, it's Skylar. No worries. All good, you know?
Awesome. That's great. That's great to know. And that was at that stage where she'd been in for a while, and it was just like, she's ready for more. Like, let's give her some responsibility.
100%.
That's killer. That's killer. So let's go into a little bit about TRM. So obviously you've got different levels. You've got Kickstart for the like junior PTs, just starting, getting everything rolling. Then you've got 10K is the next one, and then platinum, right? And then it goes further from platinum to like elite and like the bigger courses. So what would you say for the most people coming in for Kickstart and 10K, what's the main problems that they have, and why are they coming to TRM to fix this with their marketing or their systems or their mindset or whatever it is that needs fixed?
Jamie, you want to go ahead, Jamie?
I thought about this question when we were talking offline a little bit, and the irony is that I believe the Kickstart and 10K trainers come to TRM for the same reason clients come to trainers: stress management, time management, and lack of confidence. If I had to pick 3 and I'm sure Matt has 3 different answers, but if I had to pick 3 pain points that I have seen consistently with people trying to make 10K, it's that they can't manage their time, they don't know how to manage their stress, and they lack confidence.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's big.
That's so spot on, Jamie. The only part I would add to that, because Jamie just nailed them, was most trainers don't have a core offer. Don't know what they're trying to present. And they're still selling sessions or one-off sessions or 12 packs or 8 packs, whatever it is. And they aren't sure how to present. They don't have a clear offer, and they can't actually like sell it to the actual customer properly without it sounding coming across salesy.
Yeah. So I guess like the one word that comes to mind when you think of it, that it's like scattered. They don't have any systems, they don't have any offers, they don't have any confidence, or they don't know how to do things. I think scattered was the only word that sort of came to my mind, where they're just scrambling for leads, they're scrambling for money, they're scrambling for clients, because people are probably leaving as well. So yeah, that makes sense, and that was something I didn't think you were going to say, Jaime. So that throws us down another rabbit hole. Is why do you think that these trainers lack the confidence so much, and what is it that TRM does that sort of magnifies that and boosts that? Then, like you said at the start of the 10K, it's like building confidence and building who you are as a trainer. Like, how does TRM do that, and why are they missing it in the first place?
I think it starts with a belief about the personal training industry. You know, it's similar to when somebody tells you they're a bouncer. You assume that it's a part-time job until they finish college, and then they go out and get their real job. When, especially at like, you know, I'm 33, at my age, when I tell people I'm a personal trainer, in my head, sometimes I still think they expect me to go get a job, but I'm just like doing this for rent. And I totally understand that. And I also think that, you know, Crunch, Anytime Fitness, Good Life Fitness perpetuates this belief by paying their trainers $25 an hour. Yeah, of course, it's only going to be a stepping stone or a means to an end in a bigger job, because you're getting paid $25 an hour and you're trading hours for dollars. So people come to TRM with so little confidence because the outside world has told the personal training industry that they're temporary, that they're replaceable, and that after 12 sessions, you don't need you anymore. That's it.
Yeah. She's good, eh? Oh, she's pretty good.
Yeah, she just nails every answer, huh? And it's funny that while you were saying that, Jaime, I was kind of thinking, like, when we fill out an application for something, whether it's like, you know, daughter's daycare or whatever, and you're writing down job title, my wife always asks me, what am I putting down? And then I'm like, I guess personal trainer. But in reality, I am the director of a company. So I'm like, when am I actually going to start just writing like director or CEO as my job title?
CEO of Team OMC, baby.
That's it, right? I've got to actually write baby on the end as well with an exclamation mark. But like that goes to show you, like, even now I'm 11 years in the game and a full setup as a company. I've got a lot of systems and everything sorted, and potentially looking at staff in the next little while. Like, I still think of myself as a personal trainer, and I still write personal trainer on there. And like you said, I think when people introduce themselves as a personal trainer, people just think of this trading time for money in a gym, just watching somebody work out, counting reps. Whereas if you actually showed them what you can achieve with a client and the transformations that you get and the wins that you get in terms of mindset wins, like, people's jaw would probably hit the floor when they see what we actually can do with people. But they just think of it as this rep counter and trading time for money in the gym, watching somebody train.
Agreed.
I was going to ask if you had another answer, Matt, about how, like, why people come into TRM or why they start with such low confidence coming into TRM.
I think a big thing also is that, you know, what they actually, Jaime, the big thing that I'll share a lot in TRM as well as the comparitis syndrome is, you know, in our age of social media, there's so much out there that trainers are just almost like becoming addicted to comparing themselves to 5 other coaches every hour on social media. You know, all of a sudden their confidence gets equal to nothing. And we try in TRM, like obviously Jaime has a training on self-worth and charging your worth on module 6 in TRM. We talk about this with the confidence as well too in TRM. We teach this is, you know, kind of like refining what it means for you from the inside out to like be the coach you want to be, you know, and how you want to serve people with what you want to do. But redefining the old new version of yourself and like stepping into the new version of yourself so you can truly empower your clients and not let the social media dominate how you want to perceive your worth, right? Because we can pull open anything, the feeds all over the place. And I hate to break it, we hear it 1,000 times, but I think that's one thing that we want to really, you know, teach our trainers to come through our program is, you know, use social media as a tool, use it as a means to get your message out there, you know, build it for converse with clients, you obviously people you want to build for prospects, but don't be on there 7 hours a day trying to compare yourself to 5 other trainers every hour, you know?
Yeah. And I think the comparison as well there is that when we're working with clients, we tell them, don't compare yourself to these influencers or these celebrities or these, you know, these models or Victoria's Secret models or whoever it ends up being that they're comparing themselves to, but yet we're on there on social media comparing ourselves to the trainers like the Jaime who does, 20K plus a month. And, I'm only earning 10K a month. And I'm like, oh, why is Jaime earning so much more than me? What do I do differently? And we're comparing this. Or maybe Jamie's awesome at writing content for her tribe and gets loads of likes and has 101K followers or more probably now. And it's like, well, why's Jaime got 100K followers and I've got 4? You know what I mean? Like, and we can compare ourselves in that sort of sense without realizing that we're doing the exact same as what we tell our clients not to do, but they're just comparing their bodies versus we're comparing business.
Yeah. I have a philosophy that I want to share with you guys about competition. Okay. I used to get all worked up about competition. See, I believe competition, you want to know who it is, but know what they do, but don't obsess about it. Yeah. I believe you want to create and stay in your lane on how you want to serve and then exponentially expand that to the next level with people that you want to be around, because I find some people in business, they're so consumed about beating this guy over here and across the street, beating that coach social because they have more followers than you. And literally it becomes a revolving wall of just anxiety. Mm-hmm. Right. But if we focus on, taking things and modeling things that work and then raising that up in the bar, imagine the abundance you feel and the energy you feel about helping 40 more clients and not trying to beat the guy across the street. Right. So I think that's one thing we want to address because, you open up a book about business and there's always a thing about competition. I think it's important to be aware of it, but not let it consume you.
Yeah, that's massive. That's huge. So one thing I wanted to transition into, guys, as well. Obviously, people who've listened this far in this podcast are probably trainers or they're interested in becoming trainers or whatever. You have your own podcast as well. Obviously, these guys listening are podcast listeners. So let's talk about the recently launched TRM podcast. I think you guys are 3 episodes in, 4, maybe 4 now, 4. So let's talk about that.
Well, Jaime, you want to go first?
No, you go ahead, Matt, because this was yet another visionary idea. So you go ahead.
Well, it was a we thing. Just so everybody knows, it's a we thing. Always a we thing. And it was something that we really realized, like we were obviously in the Facebook, Jaime were in the Facebook group, offering all these live, which obviously was great, but it's only in the Facebook group. And obviously we had requests from people all the time, like, when's your podcast coming? When's the podcast? We're like, listen, we'll get the podcast going. So it's called Trainer Revenue Multiplier Show on obviously Apple, Stitcher, and Spotify, and YouTube. And we do one episode every single week for half an hour with basically a TRM leader. And they come on, we talk about a topic in TRM. And obviously we'll keep building on that and of course expanding it as we keep building it. But our goal is to keep them short and concise, to the point, share, gold nuggets, rapid fire and storytelling, and leave them with like something they actually can take for the week and apply in their business or their life, right? And provide some learning and tools for them.
Yep. Awesome. And guys are doing that together, right? So Jamie's the co-host and you just have these TRM leaders and guests come in and it's like this with a threesome of awesomeness, right? Get your mind out of the gutter as well, guys, if you're listening. I didn't mean that kind of threesome.
Each leader, Matt has selected obviously for their personality, but also something they kind of specialize in, whether or not they even know they specialize in it. So when we have our threesome, it is typically around a topic that is specific to that leader, not necessarily Matt and I. Obviously, it's something that's going to serve the entire trainer community, but it's usually the third person that brings the topic or the area of expertise, and then Matt and I riff off them.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And that works quite well because I wouldn't know that it's the guest doing that because you guys like start it and you lead in and then it sounds like just a normal conversation. Obviously that's because you guys are you're used to doing that with the leaders, but it's not like you guys are not experts in the subject as well. It's just like a nice general discussion about the topic and everyone's dropping knowledge bombs from what I've heard anyway from the 4 episodes I've listened to. So you wouldn't think that it's the guest who's bringing that in. I think you guys do an epic job with the podcast. And guys, I would highly recommend that everyone goes and listens to it. I was just listening to the 4th episode on Sunday. I was doing some work in the back garden and I was like, okay, let's get the latest episode in my ears, and it was awesome. So and I like the fact that they're short as well. I obviously try to go like between 30 and 60 minutes, but you guys seem to be like around 25 minutes. It's like, right, closing arguments. Let's get this stuff in and finished. So it means 30 minutes probably the average commute for somebody, or if they're listening, doing some cardio or something. So I think it's a good little time as well.
We want to make sure that obviously the TRM community of obviously those that are actually in there, our leaders, our mentor, our team, have a chance to also voice and share, and have a place where they can also grow with as well. So obviously the podcast isn't just about Jaime and I; it's also about the leaders coming in and having a platform to share their knowledge with Jaime, I, and the members in TRM. So our goal is, when you're in TRM, you're coming to learn and grow for sure. But if you find, obviously, you're growing, like a Jaime Filer, obviously, is the exception because she went from 1.5 to 40K a month over 2 years. But let's say you go from, whatever, 5K to 10K, 1K to 5K, whatever it is, but you're showing like leadership skills in 10K, where you're showing up to all the calls, you're engaging in groups, you're almost like going out in almost like the extra mile, like a Napoleon Hill extra mile in TRM. We will definitely explore you being a leader, because we want to give those opportunities of like building a team for our masterminds, for our events, for our 10K programs, where you can also share with members that we're bringing TRM as well too.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
So I think we need to do some rapid fire. So let's get it going. Let's pick a topic of something we spoke about. So let's go back and forth between the three of us. We'll do 2 each, and we'll do what trainers can do right now to improve their confidence. And we'll start with Matt, since you're head honcho of TRM.
I'm going right to the old new version. So I would say confidence building, number one, is map out the old version of you, then map out the new version of you, and create a 1-page story of a new version, and let that be your new story that you have to ingrain over the next 30 days.
Awesome. Jaime?
Unfollow 100 people from Instagram that you typically compare yourself to, or you find yourself like they make you doubt yourself.
Wow, that I never thought you were going to say that one. That's a huge one, actually, because most people won't do that, right? Unfollow. That's huge.
Of course not. They just keep staring at this toxic account that just makes them feel bad about themselves, and it's not serving them. Unfollow 100 people.
That's huge. I'm going to go with stop comparing your point A to somebody else's point X. Just because you're not as far along the journey or you're not as successful doesn't mean you're not going to be. You just got to stop that comparison of where they're at and just focus on where you're at currently, what you can do to move to point B and C.
That's awesome. Mine is the first hour of your morning is do not look at your phone. Engage in some sort of activity of infusing your mind with some growth, as opposed to teaching your brain to react first thing in the morning.
Have goal cards, but instead of goal cards, the goal cards should say what you will be, do, or have in the future. So by December 31st, I will have stayed in the 4 Seasons for 3 nights. So attach like a tangible date to them, and also put yourself in there so it feels real.
Awesome. And I'll go with final one. Let's go with celebrating the little wins, right? Because along the way, you're going from 5K to 10K to 15K. You've got to celebrate those wins, or whether it's you launch a new program, or you got 10 sales this month, or no clients left this month. Go and buy yourself something, or do something nice and actually celebrate that, so it seems like you're rewarding yourself for the awesome work you're putting in. Because if you keep waiting for the big thing, I'm going to wait till I get to 20K and I'm going to buy myself a new computer or a holiday, you're going to be so focused on 20K that you're not celebrating getting to 10K or whatever it is after that. So definitely celebrating those little wins is huge. That's good.
Love that. That's awesome.
Yeah, that is a good one.
That was a good little rapid fire. You guys do it all the time on yours. I was a little bit nervous coming. I was like, am I gonna be able to think of these fast enough?
No, you can hang. You can hang.
That's awesome. So Matt, let's shout out your Instagram. I know there's a couple different ones. Let's shout out how people can get in touch with you, Tani, and TRM to get in the program. And then Jaime will get yours off you in a second.
Instagram for me is mindset_Matt with 2 T's. TRM is at Trainer Revenue Multiplier for both Instagram accounts. And if you want to learn more about 10K, go to mathewpark.com with 1 T. Just apply for 10K there. That's it.
Perfect. And Jaime?
JAIM91.
Awesome.
Instagram only.
Instagram only.
Instagram only.
Awesome, guys. I think that's been epic. Like I said, it's the first one back. So I was probably a little bit rusty. I had all these podcasts like stored up, ready to go in these 2 weeks after the baby comes. They just auto-published. And then this is the first time I've been in one. And it's been really fun. I've enjoyed it. So thank you guys for coming on.
You were great.
I do my best. So guys, I know it's evening there for you. It's coming up to dinner time. So I'll let you guys run on, but enjoy the nice Canadian weather for a change. It's not snowing. And guys, I thoroughly encourage everyone who's like reached this stage to follow the podcast, follow these two legends and get in on some of the action, because they're two guys who I've in the past 3 months have made a big impact to my life, and I'm sure they can make an impact to your life as well if you're listening. So get on it and get involved. And guys, I thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us, O.
It's been awesome.
Thanks, Big O. Appreciate you, man.
We'll get you guys on again soon.
Perfect.
Thanks for joining me on today's episode of The O Show. If you know somebody who needs to hear this episode today, please share this with them via message or on social media. Don't forget to also take a screenshot and share it on your story and tag me at Oren McCorry so we can continue to grow the podcast and help more people change their lives with the advice given here. Also, keep the 5-star reviews coming over on iTunes, as that helps people who normally wouldn't listen to the show find it and get the O Show in their ears and drive the podcast forward to help more people around the world with the advice here. Have a great day, and I will speak to you soon.